Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are completely demystifying food safety by taking a peek inside good manufacturing practice, specifically looking at how things work right here in Malaysia.
But hey, before we get into the actual nuts and bolts of it all, let me ask you a question. How do you really know your packaged food is safe? You know, when you pull a beautifully designed box off the supermarket shelf, it looks perfect. But true safety? It isn't just about looking at a shiny finished product. It actually requires a complete mindset shift. We have to stop simply trusting the final product and start questioning the deeply structured, often unseen systems that actually created it.
All right, let's dive right in by looking at the foundational house of food safety in Malaysia. The absolute baseline is made up of mandatory legal requirements. These are governed primarily by the Food Act 1983, which is then detailed even further by the Food Regulations 1985 and the Food Hygiene Regulations 2009. Basically, if you're manufacturing food in Malaysia, this legal framework is your non-negotiable starting line.
Now, to really get a grip on the manufacturing landscape, we have to distinguish between that baseline legal framework that every single manufacturer is forced to follow and the voluntary systems they can actually choose to adopt. While the Food Act and food hygiene regulations are strictly mandatory by law, systems like ISO standards, GMP, and HACCP, those are voluntary upgrades. They're rigorous international standard systems that a manufacturer elects to implement to prove a much higher level of safety and quality control to us, the consumers.
So, a food company's journey obviously starts with basic legal compliance, those strict, non-negotiable government rules we just talked about. But true industry leaders, they don't just stop there. They actively level up their commitment to safety by adopting robust, voluntary quality assurance systems right on top of the law. It's a fascinating way to see how a company can build on basic compliance to achieve true operational excellence. Okay, let's talk about the actual badges you might spot on your food packaging, starting with MESTI. MESTI is a food safety assurance certification enforced by the Ministry of Health under the Food Regulation 2009. What's super unique about it is that it's totally free. It's specifically targeted to help micro, small, and medium industries get a vital, formalized foothold in food safety. Moving up the ladder, we have Good Manufacturing Practice, or GMP Malaysia. Now, unlike MESTI, this one is purely voluntary on the manufacturer's part, and it actually requires them to pay certification fees. To earn this specific badge, a facility gets strictly audited based on the Malaysian Standard Reference MS 1514-2022. It represents a massive, rigorous step up, improving operational excellence right there on the factory floor.
And finally, at the highest tier, we've got HACC. You've definitely seen this blue and red logo before on premium products. This is another voluntary fee-based system, but it acts as the ultimate highly scientific security system for food production. Honestly, it is so comprehensive in preventing hazards that achieving HACC certification actually grants manufacturers special health certificate privileges, and that is incredibly valuable for companies wanting to export their products globally.
So, if we put these side by side, how do these three tiers stack up? Well, MESTI is your fundamental free layer enforced by the Ministry of Health for smaller industries. GMP introduces voluntary, fee-based, rigorous standard operations. And HACCP adds that ultimate hazard control, also fee-based, but unlocking those distinct health certificate privileges. So the next time you're grabbing a snack at the grocery store, look for these specific labels. They'll tell you the exact level of safety assurance and financial investment the manufacturer voluntarily made. But wait, what exactly is GMP at its core? Good manufacturing practice is essentially a comprehensive set of regulations, codes, and guidelines that tightly control the everyday operational conditions within a food establishment. Think of it as the ultimate rulebook. It allows for the safe production of food by dictating exactly how the facility operates minute by minute.
And to build on that, it's so important to grasp that GMP isn't just about, sweeping the floors. It is a fundamental pillar of quality assurance. It ensures that products are consistently produced and controlled to the exact quality standards appropriate for their intended use. GMP is literally the reason why every single batch of your favorite packaged cookie tastes exactly the same, looks the same, and is equally safe, without any dangerous variation from one day to the next. Imagine if a factory's mixing process failed, and a batch of those cookies tasted like machine lubricant. GMP exists specifically to make sure that never, ever happens.
Now, these certifications absolutely do not exist in isolation. The requirements heavily overlap. The baseline requirements of GMP form the core foundation, while systems like MISTI and HACCP add specific operational layers and hazard analysis principles right on top. So let's break down that core GMP foundation together.
Imagine we're conceptually walking through a plant right now. GMP dictates the physical reality of the space around you. It covers the physical design of the building and facility to ensure it can be properly sanitized. It mandates strict personal hygiene for every single food handler. It dictates rigorous maintenance and sanitation schedules for all the machinery. And crucially, it requires absolute control over every single raw material coming in the door before it ever gets close to the production line.
But a highly functioning, safe factory isn't just about the physical space, right? GMP also rigorously controls the operations themselves. It demands mandatory, ongoing staff training. It requires absolute process control during cooking, mixing, or chilling. It dictates exactly how packaging is handled so it doesn't cross-contaminate the food. And it even extends outside the factory walls, demanding strict controls on transport and distribution, plus full traceability so product can be tracked down anywhere in the supply chain. Systems like MISTI take this incredible foundation and build on it with mandatory steps for ongoing management. First up, they require strict verification procedures to continually prove the systems are actually working as intended. Second, they mandate having highly detailed product recall procedures ready to go at a moment's notice. And third, they require the facility to conduct regular internal audits and management reviews to constantly, obsessively search for blind spots. Now, if a facility chooses to upgrade to the absolute highest tier, HACCP, they must take everything we just talked about and overlay 7 additional highly specific principles. These 7 principles are entirely focused on exhaustive hazard analysis. We're talking about identifying, monitoring, and aggressively controlling critical, chemical, physical, and biological hazards at every single step of that manufacturing process we just mapped out. All of these layers build up to one ultimate, undeniable truth in food manufacturing. Hazards cannot be eliminated through testing the final products. Really let that sink in, because this is the entire philosophy of GMP and modern food safety in one sentence. True food safety is entirely about proactive process control. Relying on reactive testing, just checking a finished packaged product at the end of the line, is simply not enough to guarantee that microscopic or chemical hazards have been successfully eliminated.
So since we know we absolutely cannot just test our way to safety at the finish line, it completely changes how we have to view and value these rigorous, unseen manufacturing standards. Every single GMP, MISTI, or HACCP logo represents a massive, proactive system working tirelessly in the background, carefully controlling the environment behind every single bite we take. Thanks so much for joining this explainer. I'll leave you with this. The next time you grab a snack from the grocery aisle, how much trust will you place in the unseen processes behind every bite you take?